would work.
Well, anyway, back to this Mina's World thing. So these two women, well, I don't even know what the fuck they are. Owners Kate Eggehart and Sonam Parikh. This story's so awesome. This is just, mwah. They decided that they were going to make a cafe that was going to be progressive. It was going to be trans inclusive, black inclusive. They were only going to hire LGBTQ plus and people of color. The staff ends up turning on them and saying that they're gentrifiers. Because I guess the people they were serving were, upper crust, pale faces and all this shit. Well, you opened up a cafe with food in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, it's going to be douchey yuppies who eat there.
Yes, take their money.
Right. Well, the employees then said they didn't give us a piece of the business, which, yeah, welcome to a job. Nobody in the service industry gets a piece of the action. Tips, that's all you get.
Yeah, that's insane.
They bitched that, and then they came out with like a list of demands. And this is the problem with hiring really woke young people, is they start thinking everything is like Aaron Brockovich or like MSNBC, and they're like, we want to unionize. And unionize? You're 17 and you serve coffee. I could get anybody to do this. There's no need for a union here. Like, it's not going to work. I can just let you go. Yeah, they wanted to be a co-op. So they wanted these people that dropped hundreds of thousands of dollars into this business to now just let it go and give it to the workers. I mean, look, I'm technically on the owner's side in this.
Me too. Yeah.
But they're so fucking douchey. And they did that thing. And I'll give you an update after this. They did that thing where they did the big apology. They did the big Instagram video where you talk about, hey, the employees were right. So they bent the knee and they caved. These workers had done a work stoppage. They'd stopped work at this cafe, so the cafe had to close while these people made their demands and everything else.
It'd be called a strike in a union.
So then these two make the video apologizing. Let's watch. Get ready to puke.
This is Sonam.
And Kate from Mina's World. We're going live as part of a radical accountability process.
Already, I feel glazed over.
You see, it's a radical accountability process. These dramatic douchebags in their language. It's like, this is part of the radical accountability process.
It's so weird. I can physically feel it when I hear that. It's just like a glazing. I feel lost. I don't want to hear this.
I will say I'm glad they use words like that, and I'll use one of their phrases. It's an immediate trigger word for me to know that I don't have to take this seriously.
That's true. You can sit back and have fun.
You're being a melodramatic douche. And a radical accountability process. Oh, God, you don't need an official name for it. And we've decided to blue sky this operation. And
all of these types of speeches really are dramatic every single time.
Oh, no, this is a good one.
We're complicit in the gentrification and anti-blackness on 52nd Street.
That's the new movie coming out in 2023.
Anti-blackness on 52nd Street.
Yeah. Anti-blackness and gentrification on 52nd Street.
Starring James Franco and Mindy Kaling.
Oh, my God. Oh, we've done it.
Gentrification and anti-blackness on 52nd Street, directed by Oliver Stone.
It's a bit wordy, but worth a watch.
Yeah, I mean, we could shorten it up to anti-blackness on 52nd Street. But we're part of the gentrification. I think everybody in the neighborhood should be then going, oh, thanks, appreciate that.
Thank you for helping.
Our neighborhood needs more investment in it. Okay, we're going to invest in your neighborhood. Stop gentrifying. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to make me look like the bad guy, but I really feel like you people don't know what the fuck you want.
I'm getting mixed signals.
Yeah, I don't know what to think from you guys. They're like Rosie Perez in White Men Can't Jump. They're like, Billy, I don't want you to gentrify my neighborhood. I want you to empathize with me, Billy. When I say that I want more investment in my community, I don't want you to build me a business, Billy. I want you to go, Gloria, I too know what it means to not have a grocery store, and I too want fresh produce. Fuck.
Can you put your wants and needs in your bio right next to your pronouns, please?
Pronouns first, though. If you put your business needs in front of your pronouns, we'll know you're a Nazi. All right, so these two are going to say that they're responsible. Oh, by the way, can you see the muzzle of the gun to their head in this video, or have they cropped it out well?
It was right next to her or them over here.
Because if you think this sounds like a hostage video now, it just gets better as it goes on.
Yay.
We put our community at risk with our presence, as well as our workers.
Some of those mochachinos were a scalding temperature.
It's for all the reasons they're not talking.
I know.
Help.
We put the people in our community in danger, by giving them jobs and disposable income and creating a place where people can conduct business and
Hopefully a more positive outlook on their life.
be funny if they just did this sarcastically and went, fuck us, right? I mean, what a bunch of pieces of shit we are for opening a business.
Right in the ass.
Suck our dicks. Meanwhile, the bodega that's minority owned down the street is selling cigarettes to any 14-year-old who wants to buy them. It's like, they're fine.
God.
They're okay. They're not gentrifying.
I just wanted to sell a cup of coffee.
They'll sell booze to any middle schooler that walks through there, but it's the people who open the nice cafe. They're the pieces of shit.
And particularly, this was highlighted by an action from us, and we are here to take responsibility for that inaction and for the harm that we caused.
I want this to be a press conference so I can stop them. I want to be interviewing them and have them read their thing, and like we're doing now, just pause them and go, now wait, give me an example. What do you mean by that? And watch them go, we were just doing this as like a hostage thing so our employees would go back to work and we could have our business. Like, yeah.
I do want it, like on that list of complaints, like they were manipulative, abuse of power, abuse of labor or whatever.
So they were a
I want
boss in the food
examples.
service industry.
Right, and
Yeah.
you weren't up for it.
With the guidance of the workers and the Black and Brown Workers Collective, we're trying to raise funds to buy the business and turn it over to our staff.
So they don't even own their own business. So they have investors and they have loans that they took out to open this cafe. So they're trying to grab as much money as they can to pay back the investors and the loans. And then after they go into hock to buy all that, they're just going to give it to the employees. Ma'am, did hiring like some normal straight and gay people not ever occur to you? Like just people who aren't bitchy and whiny?
Who probably don't mind about like the intentions you have for your restaurant
Right.
either. They probably like what you're doing.
You know what they are? They're Ernie Hudson and Ghostbusters, and they go, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Right.
As the owners of the space, we put our workers in harm's way each day that we're open, and we want to recognize that harm and want to uplift their concerns and needs.
Right, because at $5 a gallon for gas, you closing down your business and them not having a job, that's going to be really good for them. That's going to take them out of that harm's way you were putting them in.
I am having this weird problem with myself where I'm starting to feel bad for these two.
That's fine. You can feel bad for them. But they also made this mess.
I know that they made the bed they're in, but they're not seeing the way out of this without hurting themselves. They're totally wrecking everything they've ever worked for.
Don't worry. I'll give you a follow-up after the video.
Okay.
We want to be accountable for our complicitness and our complicitness with gentrification.
Then chop your dick off and change your pronouns. Right now. Put your pronouns in your bio and chop your dick off. If you don't have a dick, grow one. And then chop it off. And make sure it's a white dick. If it's even a Mediterranean colored dick, you're an oppressor.
That was maybe my favorite show moment.
Is that your favorite impression that I do?
That face.
It's I call that one woke restaurant staff.
I love it.
I want to stop doing harm to our employees. Then don't grow tits.
I want you to yell at me like that later.
Whatever parts you don't have, get them, and then chop them off and grow them again. Or I'll know you're not an ally of the trans community.
Yes, you must have to regenerate your parts.
Yes, you have to be like the lizard in Mutant League. You have to go in the regen fucking tank and get your tail back because you got it cut off in a hockey game.
You have to be like a liver or a sea sponge.
Yes.
And our engagement with anti-blackness.
Who is this fucking Indian Silent Bob? Does she not say anything?
She definitely said prior to this video to this Kate person that I will not be speaking.
My family will disown me if I take any blame for any of this shit.
I am sitting here bothered wondering what she sounds like, though.
This one is about to go, Snoochie Boochies, we're sorry for the problem we caused. Snoogans.
Snoogans.
And this one's about to go, a Jedi craves not these things.
In that gentrification.
And in that space.
And in that space, yeah.
Oh,
The workers of Mina's world deserve so much more.
I agree. Let's start with
my God.
Let's start with a branding.
It's hurting me to watch how much they're agonizing over something that's totally not their fault.
And their employees are totally dicking with them.
Yes, they're
playing
getting
with them.
everything they ever wanted.
As evidenced by the update I'm about to give you.
They have worked beyond their means. They have made the space what it is, and our ultimate goal is to return the space to them and give them the shop that they truly deserve to have. And what we're asking you to do right now is to stay tuned for a funder so that we can raise the funds to turn over the space.
So they're going to ask people to give them money, not for opening an awesome business and everything else and stuff like that. Can you give us a bunch of money so we can cave in to our pussy-ass staff who stopped working at us for us, called us racists and gentrifiers, even though we tried to make like the most woke cafe in the world? I'm sorry, but the people who do shit like this, it doesn't matter how far you bend your knee. If they see weakness, they're going to attack and try to take for their own. And when they take it for their own, they're going to fuck it up and wreck it because they think this way. And where we had a business that could make some money, we're going to have a hole in the ground because these people cannot help themselves but get in their own way.
You know what else makes me sick is if these workers were complaining about being overworked and underpaid and all that shit in a machine shop, that's one thing where I can understand being worked to the bone. They're in a fucking coffee shop.
I'm sorry. I got to say this. A lot of people
I've worked in a restaurant before and a coffee shop before. I've done it before.
It sucks ass. Food service sucks ass. I get that. But if you think you're overworked now, wait until they give you the business.
Okay, I've been overworked in a restaurant. I've still never felt the need to ask for the company.
Wait until you work for wait until they hand you the business and now you have to run everything. Then you'll know what overworked is.
That's why you don't
like.
ask.
To them and to make sure that they get to have Mina's world in the way that they have envisioned it and rightfully should have it.
With a big closed sign in the window because you don't give a fuck about food and coffee. You just care about how much people listen to your bullshit.
Have you ever thought about telling your employees, like, no, guys, you seriously don't understand what it takes to run this place?
You guys need to fuck off or go find somewhere else to work. You're fired.
Be careful what you ask for.
No. And I would say to these owners again, you kind of are getting what you deserve. You wanted a woke, progressive place. Well, guess what? You got it. This is what these types of people do. They live to bitch. They're miserable in their own skin. They hate their own lives. They're cripplingly mentally ill. And they have to lash out at somebody lest they look in the mirror and find out what the real problem is. So you guys are sitting there kowtowing and apologizing. I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's not going to work because that's not what this is about. This was about getting the apology and then being like Bob Sapp in The Longest Yard and going, I made him say he's sorry. That's all this is about for them.
We're trying to work with a third owner to buy the business and the property, and we're asking for funds so that we can do that. Our ownership and our place as a business and the owners of that business on 52nd Street have caused harm and the exploitation of our workers and gentrifying the neighborhood.
Gentrification is good.
Where was this again?
Philly.
So they probably could use a little gentrification.
It's a shithole that could use some help. And nope.
That's too bad.
I have an update, by the way, you guys. If you'd like
I think we need one after all that.
If you'd like an update, they gave that big apology and that big announcement. Crazy news. They've permanently closed their doors.
After the employees ran it into the ground or what?
No, didn't even get to that point.
Oh,
they just
shoot.
Imagine this.
What a lesson learned, though, if it had.
Imagine this. When they went into their other owners, so this investor, I would say their parents, when they went to them and go, hey, we need to raise money so we can buy the business from you. And they go, oh, yeah, what are you going to do with it? We're going to give it to our employees. No, I'm not selling. I will shut this fucking thing down before I watch you guys kill it.
And I'm pulling out all my money.
And Mina's World just decided to go, all right, guys, I guess we're closed. Like,
how exhausting, and then how sad because now people aren't opening businesses either.
But that's what I'm talking about with, like, when you bend the knee and when you apologize and when you do all this shit. Like, these people thought they were safe because they were part of that community. Girls, whatever you identify as, they, thems. It doesn't matter how much of an ally you are. These people need a victim for as to why their lives haven't turned out the way it is. This isn't people who are good and generous and decent and progressive and just want harmony and everything else. These are failed, bitter, angry, vindictive people who want other people to pay for the fact that they don't have their shit together. So you apologizing on Instagram is just going to make you look like an asshole. You're going to give them what they want. They're going to get what they wanted out of you, and that's to be able to threaten you, intimidate you, and do what you want, do what they want. And then guess what? The end result's going to be the same. Your business is going to fail because you fucked up in the first place by even trying this stupid shit. If you're opening a cafe, your goal shouldn't be to be a progressive space for this person or that person. It should be to hawk good coffee and sell decent muffins. Period. End of story. That's it. Do not play this game with these people because, like a simple gamer says, there is no end game for them. They don't even know where they want this to go.
That's true.
He says they're all sharks and they'll tear apart everything that bleeds. Why do you think they don't have any success when they try to get something going against a Tucker Carlson?
Right.
Because Tucker goes on his show and goes, hey, watch this video that someone made trying to boycott me. Ah, ha, 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 what a fucking freak show.
It doesn't affect him.
And then that person goes, well, that doesn't feel good when he hits me back. I'm gonna stop doing that. He's a piece of shit. Bye. But if they go after you, they know you'll apologize. And then after you apologize, they'll go, see, they admitted it. They are the thing I accused him of being. Get them.
You're right. Even sometimes I think when people open businesses, like they want it to be the all-inclusive of like trans and, black people and all that stuff. Like sometimes that keeps certain groups out. But even if you had just stuck to the coffee, I bet regular people would have came in and just enjoyed your shop and all that.
I'll make my prediction. Like even if they would have let this thing play out and the employees wouldn't have been total cunts, which they were, that place still would have failed because people just don't. The amount of people you need to keep something like that going. That amount of people don't want to go in there and be met with that fucking vibe.
You become very niche as soon as you start only including certain groups of people.
Right.
So.
There's a reason why they say go woke, get woke, go broke, says Ziogo. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's a trite saying, but it is true. I mean, if you try to put your politics or your ideology over the business and making money, you're going to fuck up. It's just the way it is.
Don't you want to know what woke coffee and woke muffins taste like?
Oh, I know. I know what they taste like.
Failure. I'm just kidding.
Doggy diarrhea. It's
Ew.
exactly what they taste like. If you've ever had doggy diarrhea.
Oh, have you been eating Gordy's again? Yuck.
Look,
Gordy's gay, actually. He has a puppuccino that's rainbow colored.
Carpets don't clean themselves. That's all I'm saying. Guys, we are $250 out from our goal today. Super chats and memberships are welcome. The PayPal link is in the chat. Just $250 away from the goal. That's why we haven't been bringing it up much this morning. If you want to become a VIP, the VIP package, $250 in 1 week, means you get all of our hoodie, all of our T-shirts, the 5.5-inch vinyl stickers, 2 tickets to every comedy show. You also get entered in a $100 drawing every month, and every time new merch comes out, we send a free copy of it right to your door. That is the $250 VIP package if you'd like to do that. But at the moment, everybody chip in a little bit. We'll knock this $250 out, and when we do, we'll do an extra 30 minutes of overtime for you today. We'll tack on 30 minutes to the end of the show. Members also get entered in a $100 drawing every month, and we do a Sunday evening members-only show here on YouTube. So join I think about 300 people who have become members already, and make sure you put an announcement in the chat so we can knock it off the goal. There you go, guys. PayPal link in the chat, $250 away from our goal today. The creator of Friends is apologizing today.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, forget that
Friends has been gone for how long?
Yeah, forget that Friends has been off the air for 20 years. For forget that it hasn't been relevant in the culture since it went off the air. It's just kind of, now it's just a classic sitcom. Friends is now so old, you guys, that it could be, remember when we were kids and they had TV Land in the late 90s?
Yep.
And Sanford and Son would be on all the time? Friends is now as old as Sanford and Son was when we were watching it on TV Land.
Oh, that's weird, right?
That's how old. Sanford and Son was made in I believe, the late 70s. So in 1997, when you were watching it on TV Land, it was as old as Friends is now.
That makes me feel old.
Friends is out of date. It's out of season. It's out of generation. It's passe. It's gone. It's done. It's in the rerun bin of history now. Same with Cheers and Seinfeld and everything. It's all gone. So you don't need to address shit that happened in your show 20 years ago. But in another example of someone bending the knee for no reason, Marta Kaufman, the co-creator of Friends, is once again apologizing over certain aspects of the sitcom that are considered politically incorrect today.
But you can't judge a show that was made years and years and years ago, decades ago, by today's standards. Things change, right? Stop doing that.
Listen, Marta, I know what you're trying to do, but the people you're doing it towards are not going to give a fuck. They're not going to give you credit for it. You're not going to score the brownie points you think you are. You're going to get made fun of by people like us. And then the people that you're doing this for aren't going to give a shit, and they're going to think the same thing no matter what. Again, these are not anyone who would complain about Friends and transphobia or anything like that. That's what this is going to end up being about.
Gross.
Anyone who would complain about that is not going to give you credit for your apology. They're going to hate you that you did it. So
well, you still did it. Why don't you refilm that episode?
Just leave it alone, Marta, and just move on. All right? It was a great show. Don't ruin it.
Irritating.
Actually, that show started 30 years ago.
Really?
1994. Oh.
That show's as old as I am.
It's about to turn 30 years old.
Don't say that. That means I'm almost 30.
Oh, sorry. I'm 35, and you know what? You're going to live. There's life after 30. Okay. I'm here to be everyone's George Foreman,
I
the
hope
old
you
man.
Make me feel better about it.
I just want all those people out there listening to know right now that 30, 35 is not a death sentence.
I'm so blessed to have you to let me know that.
Friends aired for 10 seasons between 94 and 04 and is widely considered one of the most successful sitcoms of all time.
Yes, most would consider it that way.
What? I'm trying to think of what the most successful ones ever would be.
Ever? Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers, for sure.
I mean, Happy Days is up there. All in the Family would be up there with the most. I mean, if you want to go spin-offs, I would definitely say Happy Days and Cheers. If you're talking about shows that bred the most shows, Happy Days and Cheers are probably right up there. Well, no, not really Cheers, because Cheers had Frasier.
Cheers did. Yeah, they did have Frasier.
That was it. Yeah, that's the Cheers universe.
Frasier had like 10 seasons, though.
Dude, holy shit. You know what? MASH. You're right. MASH is probably number one.
Seinfeld
might be number one in terms of success. MASH, Seinfeld, Cheers, Friends, and there's probably one more in the top 5. But, Happy Days, of course, with like I said, with that list of, like, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, Joni Loves Chachi. There's more.
Roseanne.
No. I'm talking about the spin-offs from Happy Days.
Oh, you're saying spin-offs? Jesus.
Yeah, that's just the spin-offs. Mork and Mindy. Launched Robin Williams, for fuck's sake.
That is crazy.
Happy Days launched Robin Williams. That's bananas to think about. But Marta Kaufman apologized for misgendering Chandler's dad. You know, they misgendered him.
Have you seen?
During the show.
Have you watched? Do you know what they're talking about?
I've seen
So
parts.
his dad was transgendered and worked as like a showgirl
A drag
in
queen.
Vegas. A drag queen.
So Chandler's biological father is portrayed as a transgender drag queen named Helena Handbasket. Get it? Uh-huh. Actress Kathleen Turner played the role. Look, It was a different time. You're going to have to forgive the name Helena Handbasket. It's fucking
because
terrible.
she worked
It's
in
awful.
Vegas
Yeah,
scene.
it's douchey and cringe,
Yeah.
but it was the 90s. Now Kaufman says it was a mistake to refer to the character as a male. We kept referring to Helena as Chandler's father, even though Chandler's father was trans, Kaufman said. Pronouns were not yet something that I understood. So we didn't... Pronouns weren't a fucking thing back then, lady. Ma'am, she was just born in 94. I can tell you as someone who grew up in the 90s, 14, 15 years old when the turn of the century came. I can tell you, I was just about to go into high school when the 90s ended. I can promise you, pronouns weren't a thing. You guys need to stop apologizing for shit that didn't exist. It's like in 1994 going, I want to apologize for our broadband connection when we did Friends.
Oh, God.
No broadband connection.
If anyone ever had the nerve to bring this up to you, your comment should be, you know what, it was a different time. That's it.
Kaufman also reiterated the importance of creating a tolerant set, explaining she has fired crew members for making jokes. Right, because nobody who works on a sitcom should be making jokes, guys. This is serious business.
Well, that's funny because anything involving Chandler's dad in that show, that was the joke. It was him being incredibly uncomfortable because he's got his slutty mom over here, his real mom, and then he's got dad mom over here. He's like always, dad, like reluctantly calling him dad.
Could you imagine if
It was the awkwardness.
Could you imagine if Red Fox was still alive and they asked him about this and then asked him about, hey, have you ever fired anyone for making jokes on the set of Sanford and Son? It's like, we only fired people for making jokes on Sanford and Son if they didn't use the N-word in it. It's like,
Right.
He would not be like, fire people for telling jokes on this. We work on a goddamn comedy show.
This is very soft. This is the softest thing to me.
This is really bad. I fired a guy on the spot for making a joke about a trans person, she boasted. That just can't happen.
You made trans jokes in the fucking show, and
Right?
it was funny at the time.
If I fire someone for making a trans joke, at least you can't, I mean, you can call me a hypocrite, but at least I didn't make a show where you made fun of a trans guy, which, by the way, I have no problem with. Do whatever show
Right.
you do. But, like, for you to go, excuse me, I fired a person for making fun of trans people. Oh, you mean one of the things you became incredibly wealthy and famous for? Oh, yeah, you're a real good person. Yeah, if Sherman Helmsley was still alive and they asked him, hey, did you guys ever fire people for making jokes on the set of The Jeffersons? Like, we were racist 9,000% of the time on that
Right,
show.
and we're not sitting here saying it's right, but it was a different time and things weren't judged quite the same way they are today.
They would ask Sherman Helmsley, it's like when you were doing scenes with Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker, like were things ever tense? And he'd be like, Carol O'Connor was like the least racist person that was there on the set. Like we had to get him to say the N-word.
I mean, that whole thing about Chandler's dad in that show, that was about his character too and why he is so screwed up in
Right.
his own personal
It
life.
was-
And
guys,
it was a joke.
Again, it was all part of the time they were in. You can't make people go back and apologize for shit they did that was fine when they did it. I don't know if you know this or not, LGBT community, but when that show reruns on your screen, they're not like reacting it out every time you turn on the TV. They're not doing it like Matthew Perry doesn't like show up and he's like, oh, somebody turned on Friends. I guess we should all get together and act out this scene again.
Right.
That is a recorded show. They can't
happened
change
back then.
the things they said. You know when you watch a movie and you in the back of your mind like, God, I hope it ends different this time.
But you know it won't.
You know it won't. So no more apologizing for shows you did in
And
the 90s and the jokes you told.
I would also sit here and say, like, I'm sure the actors and actresses in shows and movies that you complain about like that, they don't sit and swear by how they acted in the show.
Right.
It was an act. That's why it's called acting.
Except everything Tim Allen does. I mean, other than that.
Just like we sit here and be ridiculous too, and while we can't like stand by everything we say, it's a show.
Okay, Ed O'Neill played Al Bundy. In real life, if you ever listen to him be interviewed, Ed O'Neill's kind of a bitch. Like, he's not a total bitch, but he's kind of a bitch. He's kind of soft. Except if you get him talking about Marcy from that show.
Yeah.
Amanda Bierce, the woman who played Marcy in Married with Children.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hates her till the day she dies.
A lot of people are like that in shows. They hated their coworkers.
He hates her so much. You know how they'll ask people like, hey, when you were on that sitcom with that guy, did you guys had problems behind the scenes? And they'd go, well, we just work together and, things get stressful and it happens. If you go look up Ed O'Neill and like interviews he gives on Amanda Bierce, he's like, yeah, I thought she fucking sucked as an actress and director, and I told her numerous times that I thought she sucked, and she apparently didn't appreciate it.
Right.
And you ask her about him, and she's like, yeah, he's a giant fucking asshole, and I don't think he realizes what it like, neither of them have any problem talking about the other. Mm-hmm. If you're a Married with Children fan, you're going to like this. Ed O'Neill on Amanda. Here we go. Amanda Bierce and Ed O'Neill about their longtime feud. Yeah.
Can you tell me what your real life relationship was with Ed? And do you still?
Are we filming this? I follow the thumper rule. If you don't have something nice to say, you don't say anything at all. I will share. He was not happy towards the end of.
I like this. If you don't have anything nice, this is how much these two hate each other. She's going, look, if you don't have anything nice to say about anyone, don't say anything at all. It's like, all right, fine, but I will say this about that piece of shit. Like they're trying to hold back and they can't. I love Amanda Bierce versus Ed O'Neill is one of my favorite celebrity feuds because they're not trying to be polite about it.
She's a wet paper bag right now trying to hold back a flood.
Right. She's like, I do fucking hate Ed O'Neill.
I do.
But I do want to try to sound professional.
Right.
You know what? Fuck it. I hate Ed O'Neill more than I like being professional.
In the series, and so that affected everything, and that's really why the show didn't go off the air with a big finale. The company wasn't quite sure whether we were going to come back for a season 12. We were 10 years, 11 seasons because it's Fox. And you saw Mary Children make fun of Fox all the time that way. It's like, yeah, because it's Fox. But it was also produced by Sony. So you have that entity as well as the distributor. And so they really weren't 100% sure that it was the end. But then they just decided that that was best. And it's interesting. Some of the folks that have been working on that show behind the camera have been there the whole run. So that was hard to say goodbye.
This is a long way of her saying, all of us wanted to keep this paycheck going as long as we could. Ed realized he was becoming a star and that he went on to do other shows and shit. And he wanted to get the fuck out of there after 12 years. He'd had it.
Yep.
And she hates him for it.
I was ready to go. I love the character, but it just stopped being fun. And I was, by that time, directing the majority of the episodes, the last couple of seasons.
You can really see that wet paper bag thing you're talking about.
Yeah,
she's trying so hard, but she's like, she's got to get her digs in. She's like, I loved the character.
She's just poking a finger through.
But I was ready to go. I fucking hated it. And it's like, just say because of Ed.
Just rip the bag.
Now, in like 20 seconds here, they're going to show Ed O'Neill's part of this.
Okay.
He doesn't do the whole thumper thing at first.
Okay.
He's just like, listen, let me tell you about that cunt.
And so my job was a little different. And so I had a little more to say about things. And so that when they weren't going well, I would say, that's not okay. So no love lost there. Yeah. Great actor. Great actor. Yeah.
Boy, she is trying so hard. She's
got to finish it up with a compliment.
Basically, when he was being sexist and calling me a lesbian cunt, and I told him he couldn't do that, you piece of shit, and we would scream. Like, I love how she's painting it as Ed would get a little testy, and I would tell him that's not okay. In reality, there's like fucking dishes being chucked at each other and coffee being thrown. Like, you dumb lesbian. She's like, you pig-headed fuck.
She's visually throwing daggers.
I hope you die, Ed O'Neill, you piece of shit. Amanda, you couldn't direct monkeys, you fucking moron.
Whoa.
And when she gives interviews about it, she's like, things would get a little tense, and then I had some power, so I would say something, and I have to go take a shit.
That's what he's a
great actor, though. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
We all get along great. The only one I don't get along with, and I don't think I'm the only one, is Amanda.
That's a very man's way of saying it for sure.
I just want to point out the difference in the two. Amanda just stressing her heart and straining not to call him a piece of shit.
I really think it's a man versus woman way of handling it.
Well, and then Ed O'Neill, they ask him, and he just goes, yeah, I fucking hated her, and I'm not the only one. Everybody fucking
Oh, she was a miserable cunt.
miserable cunt.
Really? How come?
I am not sure what happened there. I mean, because it was wonderful for 3 years. She was great.
Think about that. They ran for 11 years. And he said, hey, for 3, it was good.
And he remembers, like, specifically, like, this was really good for this tiny chunk of time.
And this
then
is like
something happened.
25 years after the show started, he's giving this interview, and he remembers it like that.
I don't know whose fault it was. We just sort of grew.
That means it was Ed's fault.
I was going to say, maybe he, like, didn't. I don't know if she's always been, like, out as a lesbian. Maybe he tried to, like, sleep with her or something.
No, I think Ed just fucking
I
hated
don't
that
know.
she was a director and she had say. And
that
she
she
was
was
not
that
only an
lady?
actress, but she was a director. He clashed with her.
Okay.
Grew a bit apart in terms of, I think, maybe I reminded her of someone she didn't like, an uncle or something. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Dude, is he playing molester uncle
I
here? Is he
think
saying like,
he is.
I think she was probably fucked by an uncle and I maybe look like the guy, so she's being a dick about it.
It's actually why she swore off men.
Ed is fucking going to this is what I was telling you. Like, Amanda tries really hard not to talk about it. Ed O'Neill has no problem going, fucking bitch. She's probably diddled by her uncle. Everybody hates
It's a
her.
weird take.
But we didn't get along that well. I mean, we argued about certain things, and I don't know what it was. And she changed a bit. I mean, I have to say that when she started out, she was gay. She was gay a long time. She was more or less the female in the couple. You know, she was.
Like,
What does this have to do
I
with
know
it?
Ed hates her. That's what this has to do with it. He's digging at everything again. She was the chick in her
Well,
relationship, so the other bitch.
And every time he says, oh, I don't know what happened, he, like, I don't know if you watch people's body language, but he looks down every time. The guy knows what happened.
Ed knows what happened. Yeah.
Very, very feminine and cute. And then as the show, 11 years.
So
it
I'm
went,
right.
As it progressed,
He hit on her.
the change took place where she then was the more masculine of the two. She had several relationships over that time. And that became kind of interesting because then as she became more masculine, she became a little more snarky. She could grow a tooth, as we used to say.
She grew a pair.
Ed fucking hates her so much, and he's putting so much into it instead of just going, I fucking hated her.
Well, and he said, too, like, oh, she was pretty cute back then. I'm guessing he used to hit on her and give her shit about being a lesbian because he thought she was
I don't
cute.
know.
I do.
I remember one instance where she was getting married to the more female, a lovely girl, by the way.
Oh, boy.
And
Ed had a problem.
Yep, he did.
Ed had this was 20 years ago, Ed O'Neill. He had a problem.
the invitations went out, and I didn't get one, and neither did David Faustino.
Uh-oh.
And now we weren't arguing, we weren't fighting, and I remember, I said to David, well, everyone got one but you and I think Ron Levitt didn't get one. Everyone else did, and I thought, and I thought it was funny, but at the same time I thought, this is stupid on her part. Why would she do this? So I went to her, and
Oh, boy.
why?
I'm
And
the
she
life of the
said,
party. Come on.
This was a very tough call.
But you're a
But-
homophobe.
I just feel that you would find it amusing that me and Becky would come in tuxedos in a church and walk down the aisle.
Uh-oh.
So,
Ed had made lesbian jokes before.
yeah, so he was kind of being a homophobe.
Look, in defense of Amanda Bierce, you don't get that idea out of nowhere.
No.
Ed
Not when
O'Neill-
everyone else is kosher with you.
Ed O'Neill, Ron Levitt, and David Faustino had said stuff before about lesbians in tuxedos.
Absolutely.
Oh, boy. That's one of my favorite TV feuds that not that many people know about. Because, again, you ask Ed O'Neill about it, and he just goes, Oh yeah, fuck that bitch.
Hate her.
She's probably because she's all gay and shit. She's probably being all lesbian.
That's
bitchy
exactly
at
what
me.
happened. He made homophobic comments,
Yeah.
and she did not like it, and they hate each other.